When the mind is divested of its support, it remains alone in the self. And the mind's support are all the tendencies, the psychological, emotional tendencies, which direct us to look for some kind of fulfillment, for some kind of satisfaction. And here it's called the puryastaka, the subtle body. Again, this is one of these notions which can be quite misleading. The subtle body could also be described as the ethereal body or even the astral body, and then you get into ideas of floating through astral worlds and so on. But here we should just understand it as the motivational body, if you want. What motivates us to engage. When the puryastaka, the subtle body, is rid of all its supports, it attains a state of quiescence and falls motionless. When consciousness, on account of objectification, becomes deluded, the latent psychological tendencies become active. Identifying with these, consciousness forgets its essential nature. So when consciousness, on account of objectification, this is the forming of objects, of concepts, of percepts, of notions, becomes deluded. In other words, consciousness gets involved with these notions, starts believing them to be the truth. Then we start acting in accordance with the latent psychological tendencies. These become active. When the lotus of the heart unfolds, the puryastaka functions. When that lotus folds, the puryastaka ceases to function. So we've got this lotus of the heart. And again, this is one of these terms which causes confusion. The heart is often referred to, the heart essence. And it's the heart in a figurative sense. But here it's not clear because we've got the heart chakra, the heart lotus, which is stimulated in Kundalini yoga and in pranayama exercises. So which one are we talking about here, the lotus of the heart? I just take these things figuratively whenever possible, unless it's clearly a more technical passage. As long as the puryastaka functions in the body lives. When it ceases to function, the body dies. So it could be some pranayama theory here, it's not very helpful. This cessation can be caused by some form of inner conflict between the impurities and inner awakening. If only pure vasanas or tendencies fill one's heart, all conflicts cease and there are harmony, liberation and longevity. I mean, why should longevity be important? Harmony, liberation and longevity. It's as if we're talking about mental and emotional health here. Otherwise, when the puryastaka ceases to function, the body dies and the subtle body chooses another suited to fulfill the hidden vasanas, the hidden psychological tendencies. Due to these vasanas, the puryastaka forges new links with the new subtle body, forgetting its nature as pure consciousness. However, since consciousness is infinite and omnipresent, the mind riding the puryastaka roams everywhere. Bodies are taken up and abandoned by the jiva, even as trees sprout new leaves and discard old ones. Wise men do not set any store by these changes. So here we've got the theory of reincarnation brought in again. Wise men do not set any store by these changes, and nor do they set any store by these theories. It's difficult to see how it can be helpful in terms of self-enquiry. And it's clearly from a yogic point of view, because what is this concern with longevity? I think it's a bit of a warning sign when you see spiritual teachers who otherwise seem to be very clued up. They start applying their understanding to theories of mental or physical health. They start theorizing about it. And in a way, they've at this point they've begun losing it when they start theorizing it and looking at the implications of self-enquiry in terms of health and well-being. Then they're losing they've missed the point. They've missed the point. And it's arguable that they're getting into some self-forgetting at this point, when they start theorizing about the benefits of self-enquiry. The only point to self-enquiry is to satisfy the spirit of inquiry. If you're interested in self-enquiry because you want to be happy or you want to be healthy, then it's possible you're going to be disappointed at some stage. Although ultimately, if you pursue it, you won't be, although you'll have to let go of your pursuit for happiness or health. Spirituality is not about mental health or physical health. These things might follow as a consequence, but that's not what it's about. So when these things start to become the focus, we're no longer involved in spirituality, we're no longer involved in self-inquiry. We're just involved in other forms of craving or desire. So we need to be careful about that.